Hi, I'm Jim Jubak, and welcome to my YouTube video for April 14th. Links to my jubakpicks.com free site and my Jubak AM subscription site. 3 portfolios on one, 6 portfolios on the other, all down below. It looks like what started off as a war in the Ukraine when Russia invaded, and that has turned into a global energy crisis. Looks like it's turning into a global food crisis that looks like it's has the possibility for turning into another global financial crisis. So that's today's topic. Are we looking at another global financial crisis? I'll bet you that you don't follow events in Sri Lanka very closely. I don't follow it for my portfolio really at all. It's a very concentrated basket case that illustrates what could happen to produce a global financial crisis. Now, Sri Lanka depends a lot on tourism. Tourism, because of COVID, fell off the cliff. Then you had the war in Ukraine. You had a big spike in fuel costs, a big spike in food costs. Food inflation is up about 30% in Sri Lanka right now. All that taking place at the same time as revenue coming into the country and the country's economy was falling because of the lack of tourism, and inflation rampant. And so you can see all these sort of dominoes connected. This week, the country announced that it was going to default on its foreign debt. We're not talking about a big amount of debt. The country's entire portfolio of foreign debt, about $51 billion, of which $7 billion is due this year. The default really was, I think, an attempt to get people like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund to arrange financing for the country going forward. But if you remember way back when we started off with the global financial crisis, it started with one bank, Lehman Brothers, and all the dominoes toppled because they're all connected. The danger in this time around is not so much that Sri Lanka owes so much money to so many people, but that other countries are going to be in the same position. Anybody who's got, depends on foreign exchange, depends on tourism, economic activity, is seeing their costs of food and fuel go up, is going to put a lot of pressure on local governments. So Egypt is a place that I'd watch very carefully because Egypt is very, very dependent on foreign wheat. I'd look at places like Turkey, which has a lot of international debt. But if you looked around the world, there are a number of countries, especially in the global south, that really have been flagged by one watchdog or another as being places where there's just too much debt and not enough revenue to pay for it. In terms of your own portfolio, I look at this particular opportunity. It's the ProShares short MSCI Emerging Markets ETF. Ticker is EUM. Basically, it's an inverse ETF. It goes up when the emerging markets ETF, that's the EEM, goes down. That's so that basically you're betting that on more turmoil in the emerging world, in the emerging markets, financial situation going bad, hedging against that possibility. So let's look at a chart. So you'll see that what you've got here is a pretty volatile situation, pretty volatile ETF. This is the run up to and through the Ukraine invasion by Russia, and then as the dominoes didn't clatter on the table, it goes back down, and now we're back up again because we're starting to see things like the Sri Lanka situation. So we're looking at something that we're up about 7.8% in 2022. I'm not saying that necessarily this is going to produce big gains, but if we do get some kind of global event, this is one way to hedge against that. There are other ways that you can look at further on. It looks like the dollar is going to be strong, so if you can figure out a way to hedge on dollar strength, that's good. Of course, raising some cash would be good, but this is one way to hedge right at the moment where we're not yet in a crisis, but it looks like people are sufficiently worried so that you might get another bounce out of this. We're seeing everybody from the IMF to the World Bank coming out and cutting their forecasts for global growth for the rest of 2022. It looks like the combination of dominoes, if you will. All those are really sort of start to squeeze global growth, and that's not good for countries that have a lot of debt and depend on things being normal to be able to pay that debt. So I'd watch this very carefully. This is actually a good indicator, the EUM, to watch. It's not only a hedge, but it's also a good way to track the situation in the short term. You as a human being with sympathy for other human beings in really tough spots, think about whether you might want to find somewhere in your pocket to come up with some money to help feed people around the world. I'm going to suggest two places. You've probably got others in your mind. I like World Central Kitchen, and because they really do feed people. And then there's just the UN World Food Program. We'll give links to those both down below. So if you want to help out, that's a place to do it. Okay, if you like this video, please like it. You can subscribe. We're doing about 3 a week. If you subscribe, you get notification when we're doing the next one. If you want more of my stuff, you can go to my free site. That's jubakpicks.com. It's got 3 portfolios for 1 year dividend and then long-term 5-year, or my subscription site, jubakam.com, which has, in addition to those 3 portfolios, has a volatility portfolio, has a really long-term millennial portfolio, and also just an ETF portfolio for passive investors. So you can find links to both of those down below, and thanks for watching.